So I honestly haven't been playing Super Smash Bros. Enough to do a proper list, so as suggested to me by Super Mario Guy, I will read your Mario Kart comments. Let's get reading. Our first comment is from Master Penguin. This is from my top 11 underrated Mario Kart tracks list. I honestly consider Thwomp Ruins from Mario Kart 8 to be an underrated gem. Seriously, why aren't many people talking about it? It's a great track. I really love the atmosphere of the track as well as the music, the layout, and how overall fun it is. Plus, it's kind of nice to see Thwomps get their own Mario Kart track as opposed to the usual Bowser's Castles. My response to this is total agreement. Honestly, I probably should have put Thwomp Ruins on my underrated track list. It's arguably the best Mushroom Cup track ever, yeah, maybe even better than Toad's Factory, and it's just a beautiful track. And I do love me some Thwomps, and it is nice to see them have their own track. I didn't actually miss the lack of Thwomps in Mario Kart 8's Bowser's Castle, but that's probably because of how awesome that track was. Also on my top 11 underrated Mario Kart tracks list is Blue Cheetah, Kirby Master 87 the Gamer, and Kim Eversoul. All three of these guys happen to agree with me that Toad Harbor is one really underrated track. I love the atmosphere of Toad Harbor, the music, and all that good stuff. And lastly, from the top 11 underrated Mario Kart tracks list is Hellfire/Heaven Frost. Where was the Choco Island, SNES, Moonview Highway, Boo Lake, Ice Ice Outpost, Cheap Cheap Island, and Cheap Cheap Lagoon? You know, I appreciate this comment because for my underrated tracks list, I kind of picked tracks that already have a lot of love, like Mute City. These 6 never seem to get much appreciation at all. Now, for a lot of them, like Ice Ice Outpost and Boo Lake, and the Choco Island tracks, and Cheap Cheap Lagoon, I can honestly see why. But Moonview Highway, that track seems to get a lot of unnecessary hate, and I think it gets overshadowed by a lot of the other great tracks from Mario Kart Wii. And Cheap Cheap Island is a good one too. It has some of the best graphics in Super Circuit, but my only problem would be that annoying screen shaking thing. So a lot of these aren't exactly underrated to me, but I like your comment. Now let's get to my top 11 Mario Kart Retro tracks list. We have quite a few rankings here, so I'm not going to actually read the lists. From Yoshi Kart Wii, we have this. This is quite an interesting list. I think GBA Bowser Castle 3 is sort of a pretty good track for most people, including myself. But I think you're not the only one who loves this track. Honestly, it has a really cool music remake, much better than the butchered DS version, and a lot of the turns are fun. I can see why people do love that track. Other than that, I agree with a lot of your list. I'm interested in why N64 Mario Raceway is ranked number 2, though. Next, we have a list from Jonathan T. Muhammad. It's a very good list, but Waluigi Pinball was honestly better in Mario Kart DS, at least in my opinion. I love Waluigi Pinball in both games, though, so I don't have a problem with this being number 1 on the list. I just hope Nintendo does an HD remake of it, if you know what I mean. Next, we have a list from Hellfire/Heaven Frost. Everyone loves Sky Garden. This was a good list, and thanks for informing me on that Monte Chocolate thing. I don't know if I said that right. Sherbet Land is definitely a bit underrated, though I'm not a big fan of SNES Koopa Beach 2 on the DS. Next, we have a list from the Ghost Rider Guy 2379. Awesome list, man. And while GBA Ribbon Road isn't my favorite retro track, it's definitely the most impressive one to me. And finally, we have a list from Super Noah Bros. DS Airship at Fortress and 3DS Music Park are pretty high on this list. I agree with you there. As much as I love Koopa Cape, I think the 3DS version kind of ruined it to some degree, so I wouldn't have it on my list. And I kind of prefer the Mario Kart 7 version of SNES Rainbow Road, but this was a really good list. And for my top 16 Mario Kart 64 tracks, we have another list from Super Noah Bros. This is a very good list, and I loved how you ranked them in different categories. I would have put Mario Raceway a bit lower and Bowser's Castle, well, obviously higher. I had it at number 1. But other than that, I agree with your list. Now let's head off to my top 16 Mario Kart Double Dash tracks list. Our first comment is from Desmond the Moon Bear, who has some pretty strong feelings about Baby Park. I'll let that comment speak for itself. Okay, so our first list on this video comes from Hellfire/Heaven Frost. My opinion is this. Oh, I was not going to read it. It would take me too long, so sorry about that, guys. This is a very good list. I hate to be the guy that says Dry Dry Desert is too high at number 13, but boy do I hate that track. Other than that, awesome list that I almost totally agree with. Here we have another list from Super Noah Bros. Once again, great job ranking them into categories. This is a very awesome list. It's a swap of number 2 and number 1 for me, though, and that's the same with a lot of people, I think. I get that a lot of people love Rainbow Road in this game, and I do too. I just love Wario Coliseum a bit more. Next, we have a list from Blue Cheetah. Awesome list. That's all I gotta say. Next, we have a list from Firecracker2123. Now, of course, I've mentioned by now that I'm not a big fan of Dry Desert, but I'm a strong believer in the saying that one man's trash is another man's treasure. So if you can enjoy this track, that's okay with me. Other than that, I mostly agree with your list anyway. And lastly, we have a list from Bud Shy Guy and AI. This is another solid list, and I almost agree with it verbatim. Well, I'd have Wario Coliseum at number 1, but you already know that. So I'd love to do a part 2 of this if you guys want. Let me know what you think in the comments. Bye!